Ahead at the international desk, new clues point to where one of the world's most wanted terrorists may have been hiding. US Republicans rallied to try to stop Donald Trump, but is it too little, too late? And Barack Obama prepares to go to Cuba, where no sitting US president has gone in almost 90 years. Welcome, I'm Linda Kincaid. We begin with major developments in the investigation into the Paris terror attacks. Authorities in Belgium now say fingerprints and DNA belonging to a key suspect were found during a raid earlier this week in Brussels. Salah Abdelslam could be one of the people who escaped during the police operation on Tuesday. Another man killed during the raid was also wanted in connection with the attacks. CNN international correspondent Nick Robertson is covering all angles of this very complicated story and joins us now from London. And Nick, you're learning more about the man who was killed in that raid. What can you tell us?
Yeah, you're right, Linda, when you say it's complicated. It is, and it very quickly gets complicated. And the reason for that is simple enough, that it takes a terror network, not just a handful of individuals, to perpetrate an attack on the scale that we saw in Paris. So as what we're learning more now are the details of that network, and that's what's happened here. Mohamed Belkade has now been named as the man who was shot by a police sniper during that raid on Tuesday in Forest in the outskirts of Brussels. That apartment building, that house that the police raided, that's where the fingerprint of Salah Abdelslam was found, opening the door to the possibility that he had either been in that building or is potentially one of those two men still on the run. Mohamed Belkade, this is where it gets a little complicated. What the authorities are saying is that under a pseudonym, under another name, about 4 days after the Paris terror attack, he went to a Western Union office in Brussels and wired 750 euros to the cousin, the female cousin of the man believed to be a principal mastermind behind the Paris attack, Abdelhamid Abayoud. He was in Paris at the time. He'd helped set up and partially carry out the Paris attack. Then he'd gone to ground in Paris. This money was from Belkade, was wired to him through his cousin. The police had found out by that stage where he was living in the suburb of Paris Saint-Denis. A day after that money was wired to him, the police raided that suburb, the 18th of November, killing Abayoud, killing his cousin, and the police and others at the premises. And police believe that they were on the verge of launching another massive terror attack in the financial district of Paris. So this is complicated. But what this tells us, what is the significance of this here? Not just that the most wanted man in Europe's fingerprint was in that apartment, but one of the men in that apartment was directly connected, played a principal role in the Paris terror attacks. Now, obviously, with the announcement of his death, confirming that he is dead, Linda.
Huge development, Nick. And what else are authorities saying about the discovery of Abdelslam's DNA in that apartment?
Well, they're saying that he could have been there, but they're also saying other people could have been there. And the implication is that he could be one of these two men on the run. You know, what the police are not saying, and they don't say a lot in Belgium because they really don't want to give any information that could be useful to Salah Abdelslam when he's on the run, or any of the others that they're trying to catch at the moment. But, you know, the apparent inference is here. So there's an international terror arrest warrant put out for Salah Abdelslam in the immediate days after the Paris attack, because he flees Paris, gets friends to pick him up, take him back to Brussels. The authorities in Belgium believed that he probably hadn't gone to Syria to run for cover, that he probably hadn't left Europe. But the implication is now that it appears, by virtue of this fingerprint, that he had gone to ground, was hiding out, and if not hiding out in this one singular place that the police raided, then perhaps other places. But it does seem to indicate that he had gone to ground in Brussels, was hiding, hadn't run away, and therefore was, potentially either plotting another attack or waiting until the heat had died down, he had perhaps changed his appearance slightly and can try to make a more effective getaway, Linda.
And Nick, police during this raid found some pretty serious weapons. Take us through what they found.
Well, they were immediately attacked when they arrived. I mean, the police came wearing bulletproof flak jackets, helmets. They were armed. They didn't believe that anyone was in the apartment. They certainly didn't believe that they were going to be attacked in the way they were attacked. When they tried to go into the apartment, 3 police were shot by a Kalashnikov. Witnesses talked about hearing 30 shots. 30 shots is a whole magazine fired off from an automatic weapon like a Kalashnikov. And so the police were confronted by lethal battlefield weapons, the sort of weapons that we know ISIS has gives training to its people inside Syria, inside Iraq. We know that many of those people have had training there, have come back to Europe, passed that training to others. And this weapon was used with some effect because 3 policemen were injured. And we also know that when those 2 men ran away in that chase, when the police were giving chase, another police officer was injured in a shootout. So the men that left are clearly armed and dangerous. So this apartment was not as benign as authorities had initially thought that perhaps it might have been, Linda.
Nick Robertson staying across this very quickly developing story for us from London. Thank you very much.